Hi guys, I'm Unkle Richie.
Yo, what up? J Money's back.
And this is C10. And you're listening to the Unkles Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Unkles episode 69. Tonight I'm joined by Melissa Maykin from ABC Pacific Pulse show. Some of you would have remembered her from our vlog at the ABC. She was very kind enough to get us to the office, and we did record an episode on Pacific Pulse as well. So yeah, guys, we got a big episode tonight. Melissa, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. What an honor.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been we've been wanting to get you on ever since we Charles and I came into the studio, and you showed us around, so it's nice to finally be here.
Yeah, thanks for passing the mic over to a non-Papua New Guinean. It's a bit controversial.
No, we have to. We're all about diversity and inclusion, cool. So it's important. Yeah,
those two very triggering words in a white workplace.
Yeah. I just had to get them out there. Nice and early.
We just got to tick those boxes.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, we always do this at the Uncles. Whenever we speak to a guest, we like to go back to, where it all began for you. So maybe, take us back to where it all started for yourself. Where were you born and raised?
I grew up on the Gold Coast, so I was one of those people who'd grown up and lived there, and that's always surprising to me because most people who live on the Gold Coast now are like students or they've moved across from New Zealand, so it's just such a random thing to tell people that. But yeah, my mother is Australian of Irish descent, and then my father's Fijian. So they had me in 98 on the Gold Coast and my brother 3 years before that. But yeah, I'm one of those diaspora kids. So yeah, I unfortunately didn't get to have like a childhood in Fiji, and most of my young adulthood has been sort of trying to get back there as much as I can and spend time with cousins. But yeah, I went to school on the Gold Coast, went to uni on the Gold Coast, and that was probably the first 20 years for me.
Yeah, okay. And that would have been, a bit, or probably I guess when you were younger, you were unaware, but I mean, as you're being a bit older now, are you sort of wanting to, find out more about that Fijian side?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and like I was one of those kids who, I think it's also a common experience if you have separated parents and then you split off with one family, you're also removed from another side of the, your cultural identity as well. So I always thought I'd get through school and high school and uni, and then I'd sort of be in a better position to work and save and travel. So I always had it in the back of my mind. But as soon as I finished school and started working, COVID hit. And so that kind of pushed all of those plans out for me. But I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, I got to travel back and spend took all my annual leave and really spent it with all my cousins and
nice.
Who live in Suva now. They don't live in, the villages where we are from.
Yep.
But that was just amazing. Fiji's or Suva especially is just bustling. It's just madness, really. The nightclubs are crazy, like O'Reilly's. Funnily enough, like an Irish pub goes off in the middle of Suva.
That's funny.
Doesn't make sense. But, and you're just packed in. But yeah, that was just a real great experience. And so I think like each year I'm trying to do something more that reconnects those parts of me that have been a little bit fractured through, separation or distance or... Yeah, just those being half white, half black type experiences.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally get it because I think about, although I did, was born and raised in Moresby, I did move over when I was 12, 13. And then you try and fit into culture society here, which a lot of people back home don't understand.
Yeah.
That when you do enter a new society, because your environment's changed, you're trying to be like the people in that environment.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of you that, it's fighting with you. You don't want to leave one culture, but in order to grow in the other, you have to be one with the other one.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just finding, that balance, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are going through that at the moment.
And definitely in my circles, at work, we're all kind of in the same boat. Some of us grew up in the Pacific and some of us didn't. But you have to be a bit of a chameleon almost to be accepted within your own family and community there. And then in this context where you become a bit of an oddity.
Yeah.
You stand out. Well, you don't, but you stand out over there too, because for me, I'm fair. So,
same.
they're all like, you kind of like in between going, okay.
Yeah.
It's pulled back and forth. And I think language is a good bridge for that. And you talk
Pisin.
so
Yeah.
that's a big thing that I noticed, that probably, there's that bridge almost that you don't have to worry about. I think for me, it's going to be a big journey in reclaiming language and our own Itoke language from like our own sort of dialect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big road ahead, I think, but hopefully I can do it before I'm 30 because then I've got other things to do.
That's a good goal. That's a good goal. Oh well, let's go back maybe to your primary school days.
Yeah.
Where did you go to primary school, and what was life like for Melissa back then?
I went to Labrador State School on the Gold Coast, which was arguably one of the most public schools you could be at. Like, it was just very working class, and we were just like a small working class family. It was just my mum, my brother, and I. But Labrador was a very kind of, it was actually quite diverse.
Yeah, okay.
And so I went through Labrador and had a really good experience. I had really great teachers. I think I was a bit of a nerd. Like, I was like popular and sporty.
Yeah.
But then I was also playing the violin and like doing clarinet and choir. And I think a few of the kids were probably like, what? Like, pick something, just do something.
Can you still play?
Just a little bit,
Yeah, okay.
Violin, I wish I'd actually done something properly with that. I think I just left it too long. But I still have all the instruments, and I don't know if you were an instrument kid, but you passed
Not at
them
all.
through.
I sucked
You
at
passed
everything
them
I did. Yeah.
Oh gosh, but all the little cousins, like they inherit all the instruments. When they get to year 3, they take on the clarinet or something.
Yeah.
But no, primary school was fine. I had a big brother at every age, so no one tried to smack me up or anything. Like I was like, my brother's gonna
Hurt you.
He's gonna hurt you. My brother just hit puberty and he's gonna sit on you.
Yeah.
And like he's big and don't touch me. But yeah, Labrador was funny. And then I went on to Coomera State High School on the Gold Coast, which is one of the big rugby league schools.
Oh wow!
So you've got like Kebra Park,
yeah,
EBC,
yeah.
Then you've sort of got the Brisbane, Marsden and those schools. They're not really in our comp, but then you had Coomera, which was a bit of an underdog, but always had a random, season win. And would just upset everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I came through Coomera because my brother went there for rugby.
Yep.
And just fit right in. Like I was with all the Islander kids.
Oh yeah.
At lunchtime. It was just we had Tongans, Samoans, lots of Māoris as well, but they were mostly in primary school.
Okay.
So I was trying to, work out which crowd I fit into, which was always a little bit weird because you're also playing the violin, so you're like, oh, I don't know how the violin's gonna go down here. Like, have to, yeah.
Oh.
But that was high school, and yeah, I don't know. I was a bit of one of those kids that got by really well on like a bit of natural talent until it came time to actually put in some work, and then I did nothing. And then I did nothing, you know. Got to year 11 and 12, and I was like, "Damn, how about a C?" Like, yeah. So first C was always a bit rough.
Oh, that was exactly like me. I knew I could try, but actually trying was the hardest part.
Trying takes so much effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was all easy going until we had to do Maths B.
Oh, Maths B, no way.
And then I was like,
yeah.
See ya. I was like, Maths A.
And then you're like topping the Maths A charts, and you're like, yeah, dumb.
Yeah. I know. Like Maths B was just ridiculous. Some of the stuff I see now, there's some memes I see on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're this little kid doing Maths B in year 11. And still to this day, you've never used
that
thing.
Yeah.
Like Pythagoras theory. What?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. I was on Marketplace the other night trying to buy one of those adjustable desks.
Yeah.
And so I knew, or the lady in the description said, okay, well, this is the height and this is the length. So I was like, come on, year 8 maths. If C squared equals A squared plus B squared, what is the C? So I sat there for like an hour and was like, no, I can't do it. Excuse me, hi, what's the width of the table? Like,
Come on. Please, just give it to me.
Please tell me.
Yeah.
It was just such a fail. So yeah, that was like Maths A that didn't even get used or remembered. What a shame.
Maths is just, I don't even, well, the reason why I did marketing at uni was because I looked at every other, every other degree, and I was like, well, what degree doesn't have maths in it?
Yep.
And I was like, ooh, marketing. So that's why I did it.
But interesting, why did you choose marketing and not like anything in the humanities? Was there a bit of a arts degrees are for...
Yeah, to be honest, I probably left it to the last minute.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wanted to do something with business in it. I think that's just coming from a family who's, done well in business.
It's a very artsy thing to do.
Yeah.
Bachelor of Business.
Yeah, Bachelor of Business. So in the back of my mind, I was like, nothing else really looks good, or I don't really see myself doing anything else rather than business.
Yeah.
And marketing just looked like the easiest one to do in business at the time.
Yeah.
Plus, I was also like early on, I always kind of knew I was like a bit different, but I liked like videos and content and doing all of that. Like when I started doing marketing, it was just the start of, like, I think, what was the latest one that came out? Like Snapchat had just gone big then, and it was just funny seeing how Instagram changed, from that its old logo to like what it is now.
Yeah.
It was just photos, like no videos.
Yeah.
We didn't have reels and stuff. Like it was.
And now Instagram is like the domain of marketeers. Like, it's essentially a shopping website.
Yeah.
Dressed up as a social media platform.
Literally,
And,
it's crazy to see where it's come from. But that's what sparked the interest, I guess. But that's a good segue into your sort of pathway into university as well.
My creative endeavour. Yeah. I was very similar. I sat down at the very end of 2015. I had a Q-tact walk. I was sitting on the bed with my mum, and I just went, damn, there is nothing that I would want to do. Yikes. I was like, I think I had a realisation that you had to work after school.
Yeah.
I kind of just thought you'd finish school and just like bask in the glory of finishing, you know, and then all of a sudden your mum's like, if you don't do something, you're gonna have to start paying bills. I was like, so yeah, sat with the QTAC book, opened it up, had a look at maybe 5 or 6 degrees, and just went, okay, well, I didn't do science past year 10, I didn't do maths past year 11. The maths that I did was Pythagoras theorem. I'm not going to be a doctor, not going to be an engineer. I can't look at anything STEM. So yeah, I basically got it down to humanities, and I couldn't pick any one thing. So I just thought, what's a career where you can combine multiple things in small bits. And for some reason, I was watching the Footy Show a lot at the time.
Yeah.
And like, really regret saying this on a podcast, but I really looked up to Erin Molan.
Erin Molan. Shout out Erin. Shout out to her. She's OG.
She's done so much for the Pacific Island community.
Yep.
She is. She's mother. And so I was like, I'm going to get on the Footy Show. Like, surely that's what journalism is. And anyway, so I picked it thinking like sports reporting or something.
Yep.
And the first class that I did, I was like, okay, that's not not a viable career anymore. I think I started to study in the arts, and then, which is just like social issues and politics. I did like an intro to politics course where they make you read Karl Marx and all this other stuff, and I was slowly starting to be a little bit radicalized, I think. I was like,
I'm going crazy.
Damn, the racism is strong in this nation. This is crazy. So I think the first year was a real shock to the system, because I started to unpick a lot of what high school was, and so much of why, I was trying to learn about poverty and, different systems of, disadvantage and stuff. And so then I think I just became really attached to the idea of journalism as a pillar of democracy, which is it isn't in so many ways, because it's just been taken over by self-interested people. But I think I really did feel passionate about like journalism and news being a way to inform and hold people to account, and your dad does that through his work. So I was probably just coming at it from a different way, thinking that's a really great career choice. I've always had a very strong sense of justice and fairness. I'm quite loud. I like talking. So I just thought journalism would be a good career, and so far it has been. Yeah.
Well, that's basically, you just named all your strengths then. I think that's a good way to find your right path, is like identifying something that you're really strong at, and then picking the right role or industry that'll work for your strengths.
Yeah. And that's been something that you found with marketing? I mean, the creative side of what you wanted to do out of business?
Yeah, well, I think with marketing, for some reason, I finished my degree, but I worked in it for a year, and I just didn't like the people in marketing, which is why I jumped across to sales, because then with sales, because I already knew I was quite a personable guy that could speak to anyone and everyone in a room. So no matter whether you were Fijian or you're French or something like that, I would be able to pick something that we could relate to, and then we'd hit it off. So I thought sales would be good in that aspect, because you're trying to sell something to someone and basically lie to them. No, I'm just kidding.
I've always been a master manipulator.
Sales 101.
Yeah. Lie.
No, guys, just I'm kidding.
No,
that.
No, you have to be a certain type of person.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the people skills and the rapport,
you're
not going to close deals.
Yeah. Exactly, because at the end of the day, people don't buy the product; they buy it from the person or the type of company.
Yeah.
So like, for example, if people are more drawn to Nike than Adidas because they feel some type of way. I don't know how they feel, but it probably they saw LeBron wear Nike and they're like, I want to be like LeBron. So
I saw every girl named Caitlin in Sambas and they were like, I can't.
And let's just, oh my, I have Sambas, the black ones, but holy moly, there's so many white ones getting around.
Oh, yeah.
And it's every girl.
Yeah.
Like,
I bought a pair late, so I did miss the trend. Yeah. So that's like worse because people look at you like, where have you been?
Yeah.
I got a pair of black ones as well.
Yeah.
And I've worn them in. They're very comfortable.
Sambas are good.
Yeah.
Especially if you have flat feet. I have flat feet, like very flat.
I find they're actually quite wide. Like I've got quite wide, flat island feet. Yeah. And they're actually comfortable, which is surprising because I thought they were made for like petite little European soccer players. But I'm just like, so maybe I would throw my support behind Adidas over Nike.
Well, that's the first, like, Adidas usually, they always it's like a skinny sort of shoe. That's why New Balances have been good for me so far.
Yeah.
I like what they've been doing. And even the Asics, like, some of their stuff's looking real good.
They're pretty fresh.
Yeah.
New Balance was definitely the shoe to get when my brother was coming through the rugby grades and we were like, nothing fits. Straight to New Balance.
New Balance, yeah.
So, gosh.
Oh, well, let's, what was your time like at university? I know we briefly touched on it when Charles and I came and saw you that time, but you were at Griffith.
Yeah.
And you were in Central Queensland for a bit, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. University is a past self that I don't recognise anymore. Yeah, I went to Griffith and I enrolled in the Bachelor of Journalism. So that was a 3-year course and I did the degree on the Gold Coast because I lived on a street away. And I was one of I didn't drive until I was like 21. So we lived, I don't know how I survived now, actually. Yeah. Walked everywhere. I was so skinny. But yeah, just used to like walk to uni, walk to the tram, get the tram to Melbourne's, get the tram to like Shooters, get the tram to the
what an establishment.
Avenue.
Yeah.
Uni was just a blur. I just but I didn't really set it up in a way that's like conducive to study. I think I was like, I have to go to that lecture. I don't have to go to that lecture, so I'll go to the beach. And then that one I'm going to miss because I'll be hungover. Yeah. So that's how I planned my week. Yeah. Like, what do I absolutely need to be at and what can I skip? And then the rest of the time I was at the uni bar, uni parties, or I was just somewhere else spaced out thinking about something completely different to what I needed to be thinking about. It's just terrible because now they ask me to give young people advice and I'm like, I literally handed stuff in on the last day and then I took a 5-day penalty. And I got a high distinction that got marked down to a pass. I don't know what kind of violence I was trying to commit on the university by like being that kind of student. But yeah, it wasn't very productive at uni. But when I talk to my friends, they've said, no, we always saw you were always engaging in lectures. You're always contributing. You always had something interesting to say. And I was just like, I actually don't even... I'm not hearing the person that you're describing because I wasn't even really there. So, that was 3 or 4 years and I finished in 2019 and I think I was the second person in our family to graduate.
Wow.
So, my brother was the first.
Yeah.
And then he did a Bachelor of Commerce in Accounting and then I finished, 3 years later. So
Yeah.
That was a big story. My first story that I wrote for the ABC was about, being the first in your family to go to uni, just the barriers and the, I think that's probably why I was misbehaving so much, because I just walked around the campus and was like, this place is a prison. Nothing feels welcoming. Everything's stressful. I'm going to be anywhere else but here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. Was that like...
I think I can relate to that as well, because being the first one, you don't really know what you're going into. Or, well, you haven't been told what to expect, so you're just going off of, you know, whatever you see or whatever comes to mind or whatever people are doing.
Yeah.
Say if, you know, my friends are going to the uni bar tonight, then that's where I'm going.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, see you
buy
there.
10 of those $3 pints and we'll stockpile them.
Who knows where we'll end up after this.
I might just fall off a chair and split my head open.
Seriously.
It's really bad. Like, university culture in Australia is quite bad, I think.
Yeah.
It's not like I mean, everywhere they have college, you know, parties and stuff, but I think we're pretty unserious in Australia.
Yeah.
And the student guilds have a lot to answer for.
Yeah, well, it's really left up to the individual themselves to perform. Because I felt like I was going off the rails like multiple times.
Yeah.
Only because you get sidetracked and then you just don't do uni.
Yeah, it's so easy to not do it.
Yeah.
And it's only now, I don't know if you logged into your MyGov account recently where you're like, damn, all those failed courses.
Yeah.
I was paying for them.
Yeah.
And I'm paying for it now.
Yeah. And it keeps going up.
It keeps going up.
Like tax is getting higher, which means they're taxing, university fees and far out. It's just
I think if anyone's looking at going to uni today, it didn't used to be something you had to consider, but you should probably consider the price of your degree and just be very clear about what you want to do, because I think, that sort of debt is now pretty high. Used to be quite manageable, but now it's a pretty big debt.
Yeah, now it's ridiculous. So, I mean, if you need some educational videos, watch the Unkles Podcast.
And the takeaway is go to TAFE.
This is all free, by the way, guys. This content is
here
free
all week
on YouTube. Subscribe, follow us.
Yeah, gosh, if I could, Jacob, who you had, or Jacob McQuire, host of Niche Daily on the ABC, he's been on this program, and what's crazy enough to me is he's such a random guy. He not only didn't do a degree, which we all had to do and pay for to get a job in the ABC, he doesn't even do tax returns.
Hey.
So, like, there are people out here in high jobs that are kind of not even existing as citizens of a country. So that's all right too.
Jacob, that's the Uncle's exclusive as well. This is no one knows this. Now we know, guys.
Yeah,
Jacob.
You just clip this out to promote the episode, and Jacob's going to be out and I'll be in. Oh, yeah. Universities, it's a lot, and I think it's hard at 17. You come out of such a nurtured, like you came out of an all-boys school where it's, you have a routine, you're going to be fed, you have a bedtime.
Boarding,
you have structure to your life, and then all of a sudden it's like, I might just wake up and have a beer.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I looking back now, I kind of wish I stayed at, university, maybe at college or something.
Yeah.
Because living on my own was a bit it was a bit too much. Like not having a routine just sort of set me off the rails a little bit, especially in that first year when like all of your mates have their 18th. And so you're literally drunk every weekend.
Every weekend, yeah.
And you don't want to do uni. You're just living for the weekend. You can't wait till it's such and such his birthday, and you're going into the valley for the first time. It's like, wow, valley.
Yeah. What a beautiful place.
Yeah. Oh, wow, Brunswick.
Yeah. All roads lead to the valley.
Yeah, that's it. And there were lots of good memories made there, but now it's just not really appealing.
No. I mean, it could be that we've just aged out of it.
I think so.
We might just be nearly 30. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just, it's the 18th every weekend is like the amount of brain cells that I lost that year, just celebrating everyone else, ending up in a smoking section at some disgusting pub is just, you can't get that time back. And I think it would have been really important to have had some kind of boarding arrangement, because how are you meant to work, pay bills, cook yourself something that has vegetables in it, and then study a degree on your own? You just come out of an environment that was the complete opposite. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
It is. And so what happened after you graduated? Did you land your job straight away, or was there a job before your current role?
Yeah. Kmart sustained me for my degree. I was
shout out Kmart.
Shout out Kmart. I was on the front door letting whoever wanted to steal, because that's none of my business. Eat the rich.
Look away, she's stealing. Look away now. Let her out.
Hey, take this with you. So I finished in like the mid-year of 2019, which is always a bit sad because all your friends usually finish on time at the end of the year. So it was like a bit of a walk of shame, really. I was the one who'd finished halfway through the year because I had failed some courses. But I mean, it was exciting. It was just, I reckon, the most exciting time of my life to be finishing uni, getting my license, going overseas, and working and saving. That was 2019 for me. And I came out and I was really quite rose-tinted glasses about it. I really thought, I'm just going to get a job. And all your lecturers for some reason say, it's very hard to get a job. You're all going to struggle to get jobs. You'll need to intern and, just keep doing internships and maybe something will come up. But I had a really good friend who had got a job at the ABC in Rockhampton, and then she'd been there for about a year, and she was originally from Rockhampton, so that's central Queensland, about 8 hours north of Brisbane, renowned for beef cattle and racist politicians. So it was like a real lovely welcome for me to...
Perfect. Perfect mix.
We got another brown person. It's all three of you now. So, it was interesting, but it really forced me out of my comfort zone. I had to learn about mining. I had to learn about agriculture. Yep. I had to, experience people who just don't live on the Gold Coast. It's polar opposite of a city, and it's a small place. And I really loved it. I think it was a bit of a shock for a while. And then I loved the fact that your nearest grocery store was 5 minutes down the road and there was no traffic and there's 3 traffic lights in your whole little town. And I really enjoyed it. So I started at the ABC in Rockhampton. I stayed there for a year. And then I kind of got, it's a bit of a, I don't know if this happens in your industry, but a lot of young people just get put on short-term contracts. So they're just short-term contract after short-term contract. The ABC has offices all around Australia. So went from Rocky to Gold Coast and produced radio, but like not the fun kind, like the daily 6 a.m. radio. Yep. Did some online stuff there and then came up to Brisbane, which is where I started doing all this. That was my start, was in Rocky, and it actually took about 6 months and I went back to Kmart almost full time because I just wasn't getting anywhere with applications. I tried SBS. There's just not many roles going in the Gold Coast. Like, it's just not a very big place professionally to come out of uni and look for a job, I think, unless you're maybe in lawyer or business. So, I was pretty I was pretty overwhelmed, but I knew I had to leave. So
Yeah.
I just went, where's the smallest, most isolated place I can go?
Yeah.
And I tried to go up there. So, yeah, that was it for me. And fortunately, they took me on and I had a full-time job in about a year, which was lucky because a lot of young people just get trapped in a cycle of short-term contracts all around the place.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you can't buy things, you can't buy homes, you can't get loans without that kind of security. So, yeah.
Yeah. And when Charles and I came and saw you last, that was for an episode on the Pacific Pulse. How are things going there? Because, I've listened to a few episodes. I know you've spoken to lots of, well-known people in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Maybe give our guests a bit of background on what the Pacific Pulse is, and then maybe we can talk about some of the people that you've got on recently.
Sure. Well, thanks for both of you guys for coming through for that episode. We did that episode about relationships and mental health, and it was a good one to do because I think a lot of our stories that we do can be quite depressing, or like talk about gender-based violence or those sorts of issues. But yeah, I came in this year to the Radio Australia team, which is the ABC in the Pacific. And they gave me 2 podcasts to create.
Really?
Yeah, Pacific Soul is the religion spirituality podcast.
Yeah.
And then Pacific Pulse is a health one. And so, yeah, I forgot what the question was.
You're all right. Pause.
Well, yeah, so the podcast, what's the question?
Basically, a bit about what Pacific Soul and Pacific Pulse is for our listeners. Yeah.
Yeah. So Pacific Pulse and Pacific Soul are both really conversational, but I guess informative 30-minute podcasts that run on the ABC. Where I just bust open a health issue. One of the first episodes I did was gout.
Yeah, I saw that one.
So many of us have gout, and a lot of it's just to do with diet and Pacific foods that are, like crayfish and things. They have, things that create gout crystals that affect your joints. And so I just really look through different journal articles, or I just see what other outlets are doing, and I just pick a topic and figure it out, really, find an expert who can talk about it and keep it really conversational. Like, I've never wanted to make a podcast that sounds too sciencey, and also I failed science, so
can't do that.
There's a reason why I do journalism. It's to not be smart at science. Yeah, so I have a regular who comes on. His name's Dr. Colin Tukuitonga. He's a Niuean public health expert, and so I have him on to talk about all sorts of things. We've done mental health, we've done alcohol, diabetes amputations. That's a real big issue in the Pacific, just the amount of amputations that they do because diabetes isn't managed properly. So there's just so many things to look at. And then over on the religion program, I just go down rabbit holes. I've done more serious episodes on Israel in the latest conflict and why a lot of Christians support Israel, which, we've had theologians on to explain where that belief is coming from and some of the misguided beliefs that we're seeing. But then also I just use it to be really curious. So I did an episode with the Mormon church.
Yeah.
And I mean, we just see Mormon stuff. There's just so many awful jokes about Mormons. Like every month there's a new Mormon joke that I see. And I'm like, it's kind of sad. They get dunked on so much.
Yeah, they
do. Yeah. And I just was like, I would just go and meet a Mormon bishop. And then also we found that YP from 1-4.
Oh, yeah. He's fully
became a Mormon priest, but a bit of a different type of priest. So, yeah, it's always just a bit of an exploration of an issue. I just, with my editor, I find an issue, we find the research to support the fact that it's an issue, and then we find people to explain it and to maybe prevent the issue.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the process really, and it's been really fulfilling. I've been doing it for this whole year, and just trying to work out how to make it 4 days a week. So trying to cram it in so I can, I don't know, go and do some exercise or something on the 5th day. But yeah, that's been a really wonderful time doing those 2 jobs, and I always wanted to get back into radio. So yeah, that's been me.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think the biggest thing, the coolest thing about it is the flexibility and your, I guess, option to, bring in a different topic every week.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it fits the bill and your editor's happy with it, but that sort of flexibility and is pretty cool. And those are good topics too. Like, you can't, it's not like it's just 10 topics and it stops there.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about in those areas.
And yours is kind of the same. Like, it's almost like it's evergreen. It's not tied to a news event, so you can really pick. I mean, you guys do a lot of timely stuff as well. Like, you have sport and NRL, and then you're sort of recapping something that's recent. Where that's sort of that's a bit harder to do, because then you have to really make sure that that's finished at a set time. But otherwise, what we tend to do is pick topics that are going to be important no matter what time you talk about them. So that's what's been great, is that I can forward plan, months in advance, just topics. Like, you guys just chuck your most famous person at the top and go, I'm going to slide into 660's DMs, and if they leave me on scene, then that's their fault.
That's it. We're going to have a weekly reminder to send another message.
Legit, yeah. You just got to, and it's easy to get in. Like, I find I get so shame about doing that, and then when you're in the flow of setting out, you just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
It's fine, and you feel really confident.
Yeah.
But I struggle with that too. I'm like, they're going to be like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, I know.
What does she want from me?
That was my biggest thing when we started reaching out to guests and asking them to come on, is like, just looking at it then, I was like, that's just so weird. Like, why would I message him? And then, you just have to have that don't care mindset, like, which we've really taken on now. It's like, we really don't care. We'll send a message to him, and him, and if they don't respond, well, we'll send 3 more to 3 other people.
Yeah.
So we've just taken on that mindset, because in order for us to grow now, really, I think we're at a pivotal stage where, we've grown a little following now. Like,
little? No, it's pretty modest.
Yeah, it's
great. It's big. Yeah.
There are people out there that tune in weekly, and
awesome.
We've gone out and spoken to people, and people are always like, "Oh, we loved your episode with such and such," or like, I'm driving on the way to work and I put the Unkles on, and it's the only podcast I can relate to because I'm from PNG and I live in Brisbane.
Lovely.
And so just hearing things like that is like, that's what makes us want to send these messages out and want to, drop an episode every week, because just those sorts of messages make you feel good. It's like giving reason as to why you're doing this.
Oh, and you can see a direct benefit as well when you get that sort of feedback. And I think that's what's really cool about you guys having done it yourselves, is that you don't have to deal with the watered down versions that you might get if you put it into an organisation like ours, where you get people who are editing out things and putting their own influence on it. So, like, it's very grassroots what you do, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And there's definitely an audience for it, because I think you'd be the only PNG podcast here that, or especially Queensland.
I think in Australia, we're the only one, and then there's a couple back home, which are really good, and we follow them. We're big supporters of them. The Shawk 23 podcast. Okay. He's really good. So I think Chan he's a animator,
Cool.
or a designer. That's his 9 to 5, and then he's got his own podcast as well. And that podcast is mainly, I guess what's the word? It's for creatives. So he gets all these like photographers, videographers,
Nice.
Lots of other artists. He got, what's his name? That was at Jordan's.
Oh, Grim Jordan's thing.
Yeah, Leslie.
Okay.
Or Wesley, the other artist.
Yeah.
So he's another PNG artist who he had on the podcast, but he's doing, real great things back home, and
Nice.
it would be good if, one day we can hop on his or get him on ours.
Yeah, and that's just how you hustle, really, is, and you can even, sometimes I just troll other podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll take that and that and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, chuck them an email.
Yeah.
And it seems like a huge task to cover the region, but when you get into it, or what I've found is that it's really not too big. Like, it's quite manageable if you have a good contact list and you sort of develop it, and then someone always knows someone. Someone always has an auntie. Like,
Always.
so yeah.
And an uncle.
And an uncle.
Yeah.
And cousins.
Well,
Yeah.
you've got an exciting trip coming up.
I have, yep.
Going back to the motherland.
Yeah, your
Our
motherland.
motherland, yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh, unless my dad's someone else.
Yeah. Hold up.
Excuse me. Didn't know that. Yeah. So heading to Papua New Guinea to follow Pope Francis around and
So cool.
ask him to touch my head.
Yep. Pope.
Yeah. Everyone's
you.
holding out their newborns and I'm just like,
I am a newborn.
yeah. I am born again. So yeah, I'm going for the religion spirituality program, which I should have picked your brain about before. Like, I should have asked about all these, like, whatever was might have been a story before I already kind of mapped them out. But yeah, he's in. He's doing like it's actually hectic. He's about 87 and he's doing 13 countries.
Jeez.
And he's coming down Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, up to up to Timor-Leste. So PNG is Port Moresby and then up to Vanamor.
Yep.
The border.
Oh, funny. Wow.
It's really remote.
He is going remote.
And then they've got an ADF carrier that's picking him up and taking him over.
Yeah.
So that'll be huge.
Jeez.
So I've just been kind of hustling to speak to people. I've had the head bishop of Vanamor on to talk about why he's going there.
Yep.
Spoken to family members of, I don't know if you grew up knowing about him, but did you hear stories of Peter Torot?
Yeah.
Okay.
From Rabaul.
Yes.
So it's the volcano, and Peter was praying with a group of people in a room or in a cave. Must have been a cave, but that's my fond memory, because we went to a Catholic school.
Okay, so you know about that.
So we know Peter Torot, who his story still lives on today.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, it's new to me, like, because I'm just sort of trying to catch up on hundreds of years of Catholic history. Well, personally, as an Anglican, so it's been a bit of a rapid history lesson, but the last pope to visit was Pope John Paul II in 1995, and he came for the beatification of Peter Torot, making him the Blessed Peter Torot. And so one of the stories that I've done is this view that he might become a saint on this trip. So Pope Francis might make him a saint.
Wow.
So I caught up with his niece and asked about him and his life, and she told me all the things. He was a catechist. He defied Japanese occupation during the Second World War, and was killed for, continuing those services and marrying couples in the village and doing those Catholic things that he was so staunch about. So, it's been very interesting. But the whole soul thing is interesting because I'm not overly religious or spiritual. I think I would say I'm spiritual, but not
Religious.
really super aligned to religion or organised religion. So it's all very educational for me.
Yeah.
I can come in and quite honestly say, I know nothing about this.
Yeah.
So can you help me understand?
Yeah.
So yeah, be there from the 4th to the 10th. So if any of the cousins want to come through to ABC House,
Yep. Anyone that's listening, if you're in Palm, then
Air Voss Avenue, I'll see you there.
yep. Help Melissa out.
Help me out if I'm doing laps around the city, same street.
Yep.
Yeah.
Buy her a coffee.
Buy me a coffee and show me on my way.
Probably not a coffee. It's too hot there.
Yeah.
Maybe a juice or something.
Yeah, something else. Or maybe I can buy you something. I think that's probably the fairer option.
No. Buy her something.
I'm looking forward to it though. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's exciting. It'll be really good experience because I know that at the moment they're getting ready.
Yeah.
Beautifying the streets as they do whenever a new person is coming.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because it should be beautiful all the time.
Yeah.
But apparently they're doing all the roads up and trying to make Port Moresby look good for the Pope. When it should be something that they do all the time. So.
Absolutely. They've got enough resources to do it. I don't know where all that money's going.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another topic for discussion.
And I don't want you to get sued.
No, but we've talked about that before on the Uncles. We're not afraid of corruption and what it's done for our people.
Yeah.
We're really open about it, and I guess this is just one sign of it, really.
Yeah, and it's also good to be critical of all sorts of visits to the region, and Pope Francis is no different. I think in Timor-Leste they've demolished houses to make way for him. They're expecting 700,000 people to just congregate. I don't even know what that would look like.
Yeah.
Let alone how you're meant to deal with that many people safely. But yeah, and then on the outer suburbs where the Pope will travel, they've just chucked up plasterboard and just boarding up the site of poverty. And, it's a Pope who cares about poverty and is there to talk about poverty. So, it's quite a contradictory type thing that these governments are all doing. And so I think as much as it's exciting for Catholics, it's also probably important to be a bit critical of what they're doing too. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think it'll be great to have you back on after you've experienced that. Like where we know what Moresby looks like on the regular.
Yeah.
And then, it'll be good to get your point of view while you're there, and obviously keen to hear about your experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
Whilst over there as well. So, look.
Thank you.
Big thank you. For
it's been a
hopping
pleasure
on tonight. This one will be episode 69, and we hope all of you have enjoyed that one. Thanks again.
Thank you, everyone. I don't know why I just waved. Broke the fourth wall. Thanks for having me on.
Well, they're all looking at me.
Yeah, thank God you're here. Thanks for having me. It's been awesome.